Our employees are the backbone of our organization, and they are what makes everything tick. And if they are struggling, one, personally with a substance abuse issue, their spouse is struggling with a substance abuse issue, their children, their mother, their father, the kids, their cousin, that then is going to play on them and create a whole other level of stressors. I think that the philosophy for when someone tests positive from an employer standpoint is that, sometimes people just make really bad decisions, and is there really a problem, or did they just screw up? So you kind of got to get to the root of the problem and understand what's happening, and that's where those partners that you have in those in the marketplace that are trained professionals for the substance abuse or identifying when there's a problem. If that person does have a problem, let's figure out how we can help them get rid of the problem, get back to work, and start, functioning and performing at their top capacity. I think that as far as the cost goes, I think if you get rid of that problem and not the person, it makes more sense long term and is the better cost savings for the company moving forward.
And so we decided as a management team to go ahead and put ourselves through the training. So that's what we ended up doing. With having the training for management first, I think it really opened all of our eyes to the problems that are out there and how bad our own workplace potentially was. I know not all of us as a management team were on the same page with a drug-free workplace program, knowing the importance of it. So it really educated that portion of our management team that was like, I don't know how big of a problem this is. What was interesting was once we went through the management training, we brought this program back. We sat down with every single employee that we had, and we said, look, we're opening the table. There's no judgments, you're not in trouble, but we need to know if you're using, this program is going to be incorporated, and we want to know what we're dealing with. Do you need help now before we get rolling with this? Because we want to be able to provide that for you. We value you as an associate, as an employee, as someone who is day-to-day coming in here and being around everybody and making sure that you're working safely and you're not under the influence. And this is going to be important. And we found out that 70% of our workforce was using at some point, whether recreationally, daily, and we actually had a couple people selling, and sometimes selling on the floor. We anticipated losing a lot of employees because of incorporating the new program, but honestly, a lot of them just stepped up to the plate. We have a lot of employees who have been here a significant amount of time, and I think there was a handful of employees too that wanted to see the change, that were concerned about the problem that was in the plant. And if we did lose them, c'est la vie, go, because it was just too important, and we were losing productivity too. And that's one of the big things we noticed too, is that our productivity turned around.
We've chosen not to throw somebody out of our employment if they test positive, because it's so hard to get good employees today. And we give them an opportunity to right themselves, if you will. And it costs us an awful lot less money if we can keep an employee instead of trying to retrain an employee. So it's a lot less expensive for us to give them a second chance than to go train a new employee. I can think of probably 2 or 3 or 4 that we have had that issue with. And in just about every case that we've had, we were able to bring them back, and they're either still with us today, or in one case, the fellow retired. He was one of our better drivers. So we've had real good success with it. I'd say we've had close to, if not 100% success in doing this.
Well, one of our associates actually tested positive for marijuana after he was assessed. They recommended classes through the community. He came back clean, and he's never tested positive since. And he's now not just a worker in production, but he now does quality control for Spillman. It's quite a success story. He's a wonderful young man. A man who's probably been with us 15 years. He too had trouble with alcohol. He's been clean now and he gave up tobacco too. Been clean it's been at least 3 years. We're thrilled. We're thrilled. Because these are people who are really capable individuals. We wanted them in our workforce. We wanted them working with us.
Employers are kind of a front line on drugs. People always have to have a job to support their families. So we as employers, if we can stop that drug abuse or maybe educate some of the employees or potential employees, they can carry that back with them to their families and maybe help the community better overall. I think the biggest difference of how we would have treated someone before under our old program versus the new program is we'll actually offer help and assistance to the potential employee. Even if they're not our employee yet, it still gives them a chance to maybe seek help and better themselves and ultimately help our community. An employee comes to us and applies, and we find out that they are testing positive for drugs. Our old policy didn't allow us much leeway. It was, you're not getting a job. Now, with the new Working Partners program, we can actually refer them and help them. And so they're just not being bumped down the line or trickled down the line to the next employer who doesn't drug test. And I think we're actually stopping those people in our community from maybe even abusing drugs or continuing on the abuse.
And it starts from the very beginning. We tell employees before they come to Spherion that yes, you are going to have to take a drug test. From that, if they do come in and they take the drug test and they fail that drug test, we will refer them on to different help. And that's where the relationship that we have with Mike and many other We Care facilities and organizations has been huge. We give a person a second chance. And if they go to Coleman or they go to some of the other services in town, they can come back with no problem and get a job. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity.